Welcome to She Rises Up podcast with Gema and Lara. We are multi-award winning international coaches, authors and speakers specialized in women's empowerment and conscious leadership for women. Here we want to empower, uplift and elevate you with conscious conversations aimed to unify femininity, business and consciousness.
Welcome back, everyone. Welcome back, ladies, to another episode of She Who Rises Up podcast with Gema Ramirez. Hello, Gema.
Hello, Lara. Hello, everybody.
We would like also to start this conversation by saying once again, thank you so much. Thank you for all the wonderful feedback that we have been receiving and also for embracing that which we're sharing with you. So this is how we'd like to start today. And before we get started, a few pointers here. Just a quick reminder that this podcast is recorded and aired every 2 weeks. And also the way we do it is we get some oracle cards. We pick some oracle cards, and normally with the intention of what is it that our audience, yourself, need to hear for the next couple of weeks or so. And of course, what we also love is the fact that these cards is all also for us. And these conversations are raw, are uncensored, are very impromptu. Literally, we get a couple of minutes to gather some thoughts in regards to this card, and then we get the conversation started. So right now I'm feeling as if I am extending this a little bit longer, this intro, because it's like, okay, how are we going to be talking about the card that we got? And yes, so Gemma, are you ready to dive into this?
I'm totally ready. Yes, totally.
Right? I mean, if we don't trust that we are going to have a wonderful conversation, and we know that we're going to be having that wonderful conversation, so our own conditioning could come into play, right? I mean, one of the things that I said to you, I said, Gemma, you might have to talk more about this particular topic than myself. So I have already put a barrier there for myself. So, and what a wonderful way to start this conversation. It's like, how many times am I putting a barrier, and for what reason? Is it fear? Is it lack of trust in this case on my behalf? Or is it that there's something else going on there? So interesting. The card of today is, by the way, do you want to say anything, Gemma, before we
Going to the card, and then
shall we go?
And then we'll start.
The card that we got today, it's called Adapt. It's called Adapt. And the words that came with the card, it says, my instincts keep me adaptable in the face of any obstacle. And we have a beautiful picture of a woman. She seems like a wild woman. She seems to be in a forest, or she seems to be outdoors, and it's a very wild card. Of course, it comes with a spirit animal next to it, is a fox, and of course there is a symbology with foxes. So yeah, this is a card. Gemma, how do we start this conversation?
Well, I think you started it in such a good way, because when you asked me, or when you said to me, oh, you might have to talk more about this, the fear came in, like, oh, I don't know what to say. That's kind of disconnection. And when we are disconnected from ourselves, from our spirit, from the universe, we are more rigid, and we start to despair. And those are the words that I'm using that came in actually in the description to this card. When we are connected, we adapt to the circumstances. So we're going to have a podcast, and maybe at the moment nothing is coming to me, but I know in the conversation I will have what I need, because I am connected, and I will channel from my spirit, from the universe, from whatever, from nature, what needs to be said for people, because this is not about me. So that was the perfect way to start it, and a perfect example. What came to me when I first heard the word adaptability, was flexibility, which also came in the description of the card. Being flexible is also a quality of the spirit. I think it's a feminine quality as well, because masculine energy is more rigid, and it's not good or bad, it's how it is, and it's needed as it is, because masculine needs to be more rigid, it must more focus, so that the feminine can flow with that within the structure that the masculine creates, and adapt to what the masculine creates. The masculine within you creates the structure. Let's put, for example, the structure of this podcast that Lara and I have created. We use our masculine energy to create the structure. So it comes every 2 weeks. We do it in a certain way. We schedule when to record it. We have our assistant to do it. That's the masculine energy. But within it, our feminine energy flows, and we pick a card, and then we don't know what the content is going to be about. That's the feminine. So we adapt within the masculine structure that we created. That's the beauty of the yin and the yang. What also came to me is about the future. I think we are, and we talked about that, Lara and I, before the conversation started, before the podcast today, and we talked about how uncertain the world we live is at the moment, and how is the situation in the world at the moment. We're recording this on April 2021. I got the year right. Is uncertain, and is forcing us to live in the present, Lara was saying, and it's totally true, because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. Everything is so uncertain. But if we think about it, uncertainty is the way of nature. Uncertainty is the way of life. Is not exclusive to the life or the times we live in right now. Now is more obvious that the future is uncertain, but uncertainty is the way of life. Now I'm looking through my window, and I can see the ocean. It's a beautiful day out there. I don't know what the next moment is going to be. Maybe the wind starts blowing from the other side and it starts raining. I have no idea. Nature is like that, and nature is adaptable and flexible to what happens in the environment. So we have a lot to learn from nature. So the future is uncertain, and what is going to sustain us and help us to flow and live through it is the quality of being adaptable and being flexible. We don't know what's going to happen. We can prepare for what we think might happen, but we have to be flexible, because that highest possibility that we think might happen in the future can change in a second. So we have to have the skill of adaptability and being flexible to adjust to a different kind of future. And also have, because that's the feminine energy that we were saying, but also have the masculine energy of rigidity and flexibility in certain things. Like, I know I want certain kind of future for me. I want to have a wonderful life. I want to live a happy, healthy, wealthy life in my future. At the moment, it feels uncertain, but that's uncertainty I want to have. I want to enjoy my life, because it's the gift of life, and I want to enjoy it to the fullest. So I'm not going to bargain that. I'm going to adapt and be flexible through the things that are going to be happening in the environment that I'm living, in the life that I'm living, but with that rigidity of I want to really enjoy my life, even if I'm confined in home, even if whatever the circumstances are around me. And that flexibility will make us adaptable, will give us freedom within the limitations of our environment, and it will support us into relying more into our intuition and discernment, which is something that also the card mentioned.
Yeah. Wow, amazing. You know, it's interesting that you've mentioned intuition, because it's not the first time that we have spoken about intuition on this podcast. And the fact that keeps coming up, and I think we've mentioned it at least twice before, it feels as if we need to talk about it again. And especially with as I'm looking at the card right now, and I'm seeing the wild side of it. It's number one is like, how can I connect to that wilderness within myself? That is the first thing that's coming to my mind. So to all those wonderful ladies who are listening to us right now, is like, how can I connect to the wild, to my wild side? And that's another of the many archetypes that as women we have not either forgotten, but it has been suppressed big time. This is the first thing that was coming to mind. Again, intuition, my goodness, and I'm going to reiterate on this topic, the fact that we are speaking on intuition again is, what do our beautiful listeners need to be reminded of, that this keeps coming up over and over again, this conversation, right?
Wow.
Intuition. So please consider it as another reminder to tap into your intuition. And intuition is, my goodness, it's a superpower. I believe it was on, hey, maybe this is an opportunity for you to binge listen to all our podcasts if you haven't, because I that before. So please do take this intuition business, quote unquote, seriously, because it's an absolute superpower for everyone, and of course, within the context of the conversation. And of course, as coaches, one of the things that we're very good at is at asking questions. And a few questions were coming to my mind, which I would like to ask you to start engaging and start thinking deeper about the concept of adaptability. The first thing, it was, before I adapt, what do I need to notice? What do I need to realize? What do I need to assess? Am I adapting for what reasons? These are the questions coming out. What is the reason that I am adapting? Am I adapting because of convenience? Am I adapting because I'm being told to adapt? Right? Or am I adapting from a place of discernment? Because it's what's convenient for me. And the word adaptability also, I'm linking it to the word softening, which we'll dive into it in a second. So these are the questions that are coming to my mind. Am I adapting from a place of high is good to me? Or am I adapting because this is what it is and I'm just being complacent to what I'm being told? So that's what's coming to my mind. So again, as coaches, we love questioning, and we question everything. I question myself and I question the questions, and the questions behind the questions. So it's a very healthy way of to start also your healing journey. And it's interesting because last night I was blogging about a blog that I have for a magazine called Psychologies, and I was talking precisely about healing, and how one of the concepts of to start your healing journey is to start questioning, because otherwise how will you bring awareness to that needs shifting, right? So adaptability with discernment. I'm not going to adapt just for the sake of adapting. I am going to adapt consciously. I'm going to do that. And the word soften is coming to mind as well. The word softening. It's not to be weak. It's not to be um, complacent. Softening is about, what do I need to adapt to? What do I need to soften to? That has been there all along, and because of my rigidness or because of my conditioning, I am not able to see that which needs to be seen. That's what was coming to my mind.
Wow, I love those questions. It's so empowering to realize that, oh yeah, okay, well, I need to be flexible now. And well, no, maybe not. And going back to my example earlier, we know the future is uncertain, but you probably also know, like I know, that you want to have certain kind of future for you and your family. Why negotiate with that if the circumstances are not supporting you right now? I like I said, I want a bright future for me, for my people, for the ones I love, for my friends, for my family, for my partner, for myself. I'm not going to bargain with that, and I'm not going to be flexible with that. But I'm going to be flexible in how I get there, navigating the circumstances. So it's kind of playing with the two energies at the same time. So those questions will help you get there. That's beautiful. And softening, I love that word. And we also think, like Lara said, the softening is being weak. And I think it's exactly the opposite, because softening is probably more feminine energy than masculine, and it taps into the flexibility. I'm flexible, so I'm soft. Nothing to do with that. Being flexible is, it comes from strength, from the strength of changing your mind, of changing your direction, of taking advice from someone, or from this is what my instinct or my intuition tells me to do, and this is what I'm doing. That requires a hell of a lot of strength. So, and that comes from the softening of your soul, of being able to surrender to the voice of your soul, to the voice of the universe that guides you through, because it wants the best for you. So that softening is power, another superpower, right?
Loving, the surrendering to it, because isn't that the one of the key principles or drivers behind high level, I'm going to use the word high level adaptability, right, as a conscious adaptability from a conscious space. And it's precisely that, right, is when I surrender, I am trusting that will ease the way I adapt for the things that I need to adapt. Because of course we have the opposite to it. It's, what is the reason that I am not adapting? What is the reason that I'm not adapting? Right? So what's really going on there? Again, yin yang. Let's look into that. What I had a thought. What was the thought? What was the thought? It has disappeared, but I trust it will come back.
It will. It will. Well, it counts. Yeah, I like to reiterate the
thought back, but I'll wait for you to finish.
Go. Okay. So I like to reiterate the future. I don't know why. I'm just following my intuition here. Why I have to mention the future so much today? But I think we're going into a time where a new human is being created. Our DNA is changing from the good or for the bad. I won't go into the details, but those who are aligned with a brighter future are developing the DNA into becoming a better human. And one of the qualities of the new human is the enhancement of flexibility and adaptability for the new world, and the incorporating the feminine and the masculine, so that your intuition and your connection can guide your life instead of your mind. Because the mind is rigid, while nature and spirit is more adaptable and more flexible. None of them is good or bad. Is it like working with the two at the same time? And last week, I realized with my other half that mind obviously is rigid. Mind alone, if you lead your life just using your mind, really won't get you anywhere. It will get you somewhere, but it might not get you to the place where you want to be. And we always say, let's go into the heart must lead the way, and then the heart uses the mind, and that's the best way. But we learned, when I say we, it's me and my other half, we learned this week that that's not either the way, because the heart, it knows more than the mind, and it can lead the mind, but the heart is the door to the soul, is the door to the soul. So the heart will guide you better when it leads and uses the mind. But if we go through that door of the heart and go into the soul, then the soul takes place, and then is a way of living that is flexible and adaptable, like we're talking, and it leads you to total surrender to the best of what you can get. So that's what we realized, that and I have said it all my life, go into the heart man leads the way. I'm shifting into the soul has to lead the way, and it's the heart that gets you there. So maybe we will talk more about this in the future, because it's kind of a new concept, but the new human going to that concept will be someone who is working from the essence, the greatness of the soul. So we must learn first to open the heart, use the mind from the heart, and through the heart going into the soul, and get more qualities of the soul within for this new human. And this is really exciting. I think it's a great future ahead of us.
Absolutely. A few thoughts again were coming to my mind. The first thing is, again, if you were to focus on the concept of adaptability here, it's about, am I adapting to that it's seen, or what's in front of me? But that is not it. That is very limiting, right? Mm-hmm. Therefore, my adaptability is being limited by that in which I believe in. So what would happen if I was to expand in the way that I see life, in the way to trust there is way much more than the physicality of things? How would that affect the way of being, of adapting, right? That, or maybe we might not even need that word altogether, I wonder. And because another thought that was coming is, what is the shadow aspect of adaptability?
Ooh.
Beautiful, right? What is the shadow aspect of adaptability? Because we know that in this uh, world of polarity, there is a shadow and light to anything, right? So what would be the shadow aspect of me being adaptable? I'm thinking right now, I'm asking this question and I'm tapping into, so I'm thinking about a time where I adapted, and I'm thinking about what would be the shadow aspect of it. Maybe there's none, maybe there is. What do you think?
Well, it brought to mind an experience I had recently, again with my other half. I decided to, because it's a new relationship, and for personal reasons, I was extremely flexible and adaptable. And the shadow side was that I went completely the other side and totally surrendered. So I went to the full feminine and lost my masculine. And what happened was that it brought disharmony in the relationship, because I was too much in the feminine and too little masculine. It was needed at the time for personal reasons, and also for the harmony within the relationship, for our growth. But when I realized and he realized, we changed, and then I came back into my harmony within the masculine and the feminine. So one of the shadow sides could be if you go too far and just adapt and forget that there's also that masculine side that keeps the rigidity or the structure.
Wow. Yeah. Which again, this is would be a beautiful reminder for our beautiful women to say that even the highest concepts also have a shadow aspect of it, right? So not because a concept is called somehow the word responsibility is coming to mind right now, and not even gratitude, right? It's coming to mind. Even that has gotten the shadow aspect of it. So responsibility could also mean control, and responsibility could also mean another word. I'm losing my words today somehow. Yeah, control, let's leave it at there. So responsibility could be a good thing, but the shadow aspect of that could also be submission. That's a word that I was looking for: submission and control, right? So it's to be mindful that yeah, there is a shadow aspect of that. So that's a good reminder as well for our beautiful ladies.
Yeah, and again, it's not good or bad. It's how it is, because we live in a world of duality. So it's experiencing both.
Yes.
I experienced surrendering totally into the feminine, and it was beautiful. And I experienced going back into the harmony. So I know now what it feels like to navigate through that. As long as we are aware of it and conscious, and come back and use what we need at the time, because for my process was needed, that's is perfect. But from a higher perspective, nothing is good or bad. We live in a world of duality, and that's how it works, right?
And to be aware of that, right? It's to be aware the fact that this exists. It's coming from a place of awareness rather than coming from a place of non-awareness.
Yes.
Yes, absolutely. Wow. So do you know, a thought was coming to my mind. Do you remember that day when you were not adaptable? When, you know, if we were to continue with this topic, do you remember, have you ever been in a situation where you did not adapt? And what was the reason?
Mm.
And I'm also
Yes.
thinking,
I do remember, actually. I would like to share this. I've lived all my life until I was 24, well, all my life, my first 24 years of my life, not adapting to the place I was living in. I just felt I was born in the wrong place, in the wrong city, in the wrong country, in the wrong everything. And I was totally in resistance for 24 years. Why I didn't adapt? Well, at the time, I didn't feel I was in the right place, and that forced me to go and explore other worlds, other opportunities, and I lived my life outside of my birthplace for a long time, and it was great. It was later in life, in the last few years, when I came back, and I adapted to it. And it's actually a beautiful place. I was blessed to be born where I was born, and I'm living there now, and I'm very happy. So maybe, again, going back to the soul, is your soul that is not letting you adapt. You're born somewhere. Going to my example, but this can be translated into any example. I was born where I was born for a reason, um, for whatever reason, but my soul wanted me to experience something else. So that inadaptability came from the soul in my case. I was never able to adapt. So I explored the world, and I found my professional life, my spiritual life somewhere else, and it was great. And then when I came back to the original birthplace, I brought all that with me, and then I'm here. So that was my life. Maybe that was what I was supposed to do. So maybe not being adaptable or not being able to adapt come from the soul, from your soul mission, and somehow that's the path. Yeah, that was my experience. It could be other reasons, but that was my experience looking back.
And if I was to answer that question, that day or that time that I did not adapt, what was the true reason? Was it because, okay. So I'm remembering that it's because my mind was telling me to adapt, but deep down in my heart, I knew that was not the right thing to adapt.
Wow.
There we go. So we have that little action going on there. Of course, so now I understand why at the beginning of this podcast we were talking also about intuition. Now it makes sense, right? As why is it linked to this particular concept? It's because my intuition would tell me no, there is, source, the divine was telling me no, if you adapt, this could lead to, again, it's interesting because I'm seeing the word adaptability is good. Again, we talked about shadow aspect earlier on. So I need to adapt. And also, let me see if I express myself well here. And also the concept of flexibility that Gemma was talking about earlier on. So again, it's coming to mind, like, what is the reason that I am adapting? Am I adapting from a place of complacency? Right. So so the mind versus the the wisdom, the greater wisdom or the divine that's within ourselves. So this is what's coming. Yeah. Do you know, sometimes um I wish we're limited by words, right? We're limited by words. So I you have the feeling inside, right? It's like you could sense it, you could feel it, but we are, I feel that sometimes words are not are there to limit us. Interesting. Anyways, I hope people were able to feel the message in which I wanted to convey here. I'm not sure if
Yeah.
I don't know. So I'm going to trust that that's going to take place. Absolutely. So yes, the reason that I didn't adapt, it was because there was a fight between myself and not and my mind and my heart, basically. And also I am thinking, it's like there are situations, and I'm going to maybe take the the warrior within me is coming out now. I feel that's coming out. Yeah, exactly. Okay, we're going to say something here. So do I want to adapt to what I am, to the current circumstances? No.
Yeah.
No.
Exactly.
No. So where's the fine line between, again, adapting, going back to the conversation we talked earlier on, and actually fighting. And I'm saying fighting from a good place. And also it's interesting because the concept of gratitude is coming to mind, and I'm seeing, and I've noticed a lot of shallow gratitude going on. What I mean by that is, if somebody comes and hits me, or if somebody comes and cut my arm, I'm not going to say, oh my God, I'm so grateful that I still have the other arm. I'm going to go and defend myself. Right? So am I then being grateful only because in the spiritual community, we are taught that grateful is a high level concept that we need to live by. And it of course it's super powerful, but also it has a shadow aspect of it. Interesting, it's taking us back to the shadow aspect. I wonder if next time we need to talk about shadows. Going with this, this second term is coming up, but this is how the feminine also works, right? One idea leads us to the other. And thank goodness I didn't have anything to say today, right?
Yes, thank God. I think it's been the longest podcast so far, which is great.
Oh, yeah,
Beautiful.
I'm keeping an eye on the time. Which is a good point, Gemma. So thank you for bringing this up. It's time to wrap up. And so what has been the highlight today for you when it comes to this conversation, or any reminders for our beautiful ladies?
So beautiful, and I think it's been a really beautiful conversation. And I think I would really like to emphasize what we're talking at the end, that being why am I adaptable is so crucial here. And we've given two examples here that I would like to reiterate, because Lara's example was because I was having a fight with my mind. My mind didn't want to adapt, or my mind wanted to adapt, and I in my core didn't want to. So it's just being aware of your mind and not let the mind rule your life, but use the mind instead of letting be used by your mind. And my example was that my soul didn't want me to adapt. It just didn't want me. It didn't want to, because I had other experiences to have, and I had to follow my life. So it was later on that I had to adapt. So again, it's being aware of what your soul is telling you. And maybe that inadaptability and then being inflexible is not a bad thing, because your soul, your body is telling you something, and you have to follow that using your intuition again, that we've been saying. So I wonder what other examples our audience have of being adaptable or not being adaptable. I would love to hear. They come from the mind, from the soul, from the heart. What happened there? I would love to hear those.
Absolutely. And of course, maybe we could leave it for another time, but one interesting concept, it's how in the world of business, especially if you are a new leader or if you're a new manager, again, titles is like, we could talk about that another time. The person who has all the people looking up to them, right? The responsibility over all the people. And it's we were talking about the concept of shape shifting earlier on, right? But shape shifting, it's got also some good connotation behind it, and that is the ability to adapt to the other person. So actually, this is a good thing, right? So in this case, adaptability is a good thing. Anyways, ladies, you give us 2 hours and we will fill 2 hours. Without
we will.
Here is half an hour. We need to start wrapping up. We hope that you had many insights here. In 2 weeks, you're going to have more. We are soon going to be opening the possibility of inviting other people to come and join us for a conversation. So if you'd like to put yourself forward and join us, we would love to have you on board. And this is it. Love you, leave you. Goodbye. Gemma, goodbye. See you soon.
Bye. Goodbye, everyone.
Bye-bye. That's all for today, ladies. Thank you so much for joining our conversation, and we truly hope you loved it. If you haven't yet, please do subscribe to our podcast and also share it with other fabulous ladies so they could benefit from it too. If you want to get in touch, you could find us on all major social media platforms. Speak to you very soon.